us now. And the next witness we would like to call would be Ann Jacobson, City Attorney. Is she here? Yes. There she is. Forget who's next.
Do we want to talk about our process first, of how late we plan to go, or? Okay, all right.
Not evening yet.
Can we get you on the microphone?
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want me to stand up or do that? Okay. I watched you guys stand up. I'm trying to copy you. Okay. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you shall give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Okay, thank you.
Attorney Jacobson, thank you for joining us. I want to point out I have no special expertise in these matters, so please excuse me if I ask questions that you cannot answer due to attorney-client privilege or restrictions that might be imposed by investigative authorities. I would appreciate that. Could you please, for the record, state your name and your occupation? It sounds like it's off.
Ann Jacobson, Ann, A-N-N-E. Jacobson is Jacobson, and I'm the city attorney for the city of Wausau.
And how long have you served in that position?
Since February 10th of 2009.
2009. And how did you obtain the position of Wausau city attorney?
I applied for it as an assistant city attorney.
And who made the decision to hire you?
I believe it was a panel of people who interviewed us, but it was a mayoral appointment at the time, subject to confirmation by the council.
Okay. And can you give us some information about your background? I assume you've got a law degree, a little something about your history of jobs and professional recognitions, things like that.
I'll try to keep this brief. It goes back a ways. I have a BA in International Affairs, Politics, and Economics from George Washington University, and I have a JD from Hamlin University School of Law, which is now William Mitchell, or Mitchell Hamlin. And following that, I practiced in a DA's office as a prosecutor in private practice. I worked for legal services in 2 different areas of the state for a total of 12 years. I've worked in private practice for 15 years. I've been at the city for 27 years since June 8th of 1998.
And does the city attorney's office have a page on the city's website?
We do.
Can you tell us if there's any description of that office, your responsibilities on that page?
I believe there is a general one, yes.
Within that description, is it true that the page states that the city attorney's office provides advice or opinions on the interpretation of policy or law and work with the clerk's office to support elections, licensing, and permitting? Does that sound right?
Yes.
All right. Would the city attorney provide advice or opinions to the mayor on the law of elections if the mayor requested such advice?
Yes.
Could you describe, do you make a distinction between advice and opinions?
Well, if you're talking about a formal opinion, those are usually filed with the city clerk by statute. Advice can be informal. It can be in writing in the form of a memo, or it can just be oral advice. So that would be 2 differences I'd point out between advice and an opinion. But an opinion could be oral as well.
And advice can be kind of ad hoc. You're talking with somebody and you may give them a city official advice on a particular question, or does that not happen?
It can if I know the answer readily to the question. Otherwise, I will tell them that I don't know the answer to that question, that they'll have to give me some time to research it.
So you mentioned opinions. Are there different kinds? I mean, are there opinions that are formal and there are opinions that are not formal? I'm not sure.
Yes, and there are also advisory opinions, which, as you probably know, in the ethics code talks about advisory opinions. Formal opinions are the ones I refer to that I number by year and by number that I would file with the clerk. Otherwise, I would put it into a legal memo probably.
Oh, I see. Thank you. So formal opinions are they're available to the public, I take it?
Yes.
Do you have a protocol or a procedure for giving advice in situations in which you receive information indicating that there might be some possibility of violating the requirements of state law?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Well, let me put it this way. Do you have a protocol or procedure for handling formal opinion, those formal opinions we just talked about?
Well, it would be a attorney-client privileged communication or a confidence. So are you saying if someone came to me and suggested or wanted to do something which I felt were illegal, how I would advise them about that?
No, that's not really my
Okay.
question. My question is more, what procedure do you have that will lead to a formal opinion?
First you have to gather all the facts, and you have to determine upon which set of facts you are going to apply the relevant law.
Can we back up even a little bit before that? Like, how does the process get started?
Well, we have a formal legal request form on the intranet for the city attorney's office. Some people use it, some don't. That's okay. We're very open and flexible in accepting requests for opinions or advice, either by email or even by telephone sometimes. We don't restrict our days or hours. You can only come to our office on this day or this hour. We don't even restrict it to needing to come through a supervisor or a department head. We'll take calls from anybody in the organization 5 days a week.
And do you have a procedure relating to who gets copies of a formal legal opinion that you might render?
Well, it would go to the person requesting the opinion, and it would be filed with the city clerk.
Okay. But you don't have a standard procedure to give copies to anybody else?
I think it would depend on the circumstances. There may have been occasions where, I don't know, I try to keep the whole council consistent and on the same page. So if opinion goes to one alder, it would go to all of them. So I can't think of a circumstance.
Okay, thank you. When you are away from your office or when the door to your office is closed during business hours, is there any way for anyone to get from the city to get in touch with you if there's a need?
I do not have a city-issued cell phone. I do have a personal cell phone, and I think I might be on the Pt.3 phone chart. I'm not sure. But they'd have to have my personal cell phone to get a hold of me.
I see. And is it possible, do you have email that you can look at if you're away from town?
If I have my laptop with me, I can, but I'm not able to access my work email from home without having my laptop with me, and I don't want to involve my personal phone with that. So the answer would be no unless I had my work laptop with me.
Okay. Were you present at work in your office during the month of September 2024?
I was, except for Monday, September 23rd. I had taken the day off.
Okay.
And if September 30th fell on a Tuesday, I think I was out Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of that week. September 30th, October 1st and 2nd, maybe? Or October 1st through the 3rd.
I think the 30th was a Monday.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
So it would have been October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd that I was out.
I'm going to try asking you, did you ever provide advice on election administration to the mayor?
Yes,
And if so, what advice did you give him?
I believe I can answer that question. Can I confirm for the record that he's waived his privilege?
Answer away.
Thank you. What advice did I give him?
Yes.
Again, it was similar to the situation the clerk described where he'd come to my office through no appointed, meeting. I was not aware of all of the other stuff that was going on, but started talking about her being supervised by him and being, an appointed clerk, not an elected clerk. And I was trying to find out what was going on. And I think he also at that time mentioned that Kevin Hermaning would sue us if I let him put a drop box out. And I said we couldn't be guided by those types of threats and that I wasn't worried about the city defending any such lawsuits. That I lost my train of thought, sorry.
Well, did any of that advice you gave, you're on the track of talking about.
Oh, right. So then I
advice,
just
and-
told him, you best be careful about interfering with her authority to administer an election and her decision to want to put this box out. So it became clear to me that he did not want a drop box deployed for the collection of absentee ballots.
Did you give him any of that advice prior to September 22nd, which was a Sunday in 2024?
I did. It would have been between July 5th when the priorities decision came out and July 26th because I talked to him again on Friday, July 26th, the day before I was leaving on a 2-week vacation, and explained to him in briefing him about what he might anticipate or what may come up in my absence, that he needed to be careful about not pressuring the clerk and attempting to interfere with her decision to deploy the box.
And do you see any legal problems if the mayor would try to give his opinion to the clerk about using an absentee ballot drop box?
Objection vague. In what respect? Can you be more precise?
Is there any law that you're aware of that prevents anyone from giving their opinion
No, I
to a city
think
official?
any law that would prevent the mayor from giving his opinion to the clerk?
Well, that's specifically what I'm,
Yeah, no, I don't think there's a law that prevents that.
but what you're talking about was you had concern. Is it possible that you had concerns beyond that, beyond someone just giving their opinion?
Yes.
Okay. These times that you gave advice was prior to September 22nd, 2024. Were there multiple times, or was it just that one incident?
I recall the two specifically that I've described. There may have been more, but I don't recall for sure. It may have been another informal, him walking into my office and maybe talking about a couple different topics, but I don't specifically recall any other discussions.
But there were two incidents you're talking about. I want to make sure
Yes.
I understand.
Yes.
And one was before you left on vacation,
Yes.
and the other was, again?
July 26th, and the other one would have been between July 5th and July 26th.
All right.
As I think the clerk testified, we watched an election webinar together, I think on July 9th or 10th. So all of these things, as you've heard today, were being discussed.
Okay. Let's see. We've already got an Exhibit 7. Can we pass that?
Thank you.
Do you recognize Exhibit 7?
I do.
And can you tell us what it is?
It's my legal opinion 24-5 to the clerk from me regarding administration of elections dated September 26th of 2024.
And this is one of those formal written opinions that you referred to,
Yes.
that are part of your responsibilities. I'm not going to ask you to read the whole thing. Here. All right. Can you read the very first paragraph of that?
Considering recent events that have occurred since Monday, September 23rd, 2024, I am providing you a formal written opinion affirming the consistent advice I have previously provided to both you and the mayor.
All right. And so when you stated in that opinion that it affirms the consistent advice you have previously provided, as it relates to the mayor, you're talking about those two instances that you just testified about.
Yes.
Right. And when you issued that opinion, did you give a copy of that to the mayor, to Mayor Denny?
I did email it to him. I don't recall if it was on September 26th or later, but I did email a copy to him, yes.
Are you aware that Section 62.08, Sub 9, Paragraph A, provides that the mayor is the city's chief executive with responsibility to, quote, take care that city ordinances and state laws are observed and enforced, and that all city officers and employees discharge their duties?
Yes, I'm aware of that statute.
Okay. And when we talk about state law, can you tell us what that encompasses?
State law regarding what?
Well, that the city has a responsibility to take care that city ordinances and state laws are observed and enforced. I'm just wondering, does state law include just statutes? Does it include anything else?
Oh, I see your question. Well, I think the law would include the administrative code.
Okay. What about Supreme Court opinions?
Well, that's part of the law too. It's just not statutory, it's case law. But that shapes statutes too.
Okay. And can we please show the witness exhibit 1?
Do you want me to just hang on to these? Okay, thank you.
Can you tell us what that exhibit is?
Mr. Chairman, same objection as before. If you want to ask her about conversations that are addressed in this statement and get her recollections, if she doesn't have recollections, use it to refresh her recollection. But to have her agree or disagree with the accounts is vouching, and it's not testimony.
What do you think about that? All right, I'll do it. Okay, so please have a look at paragraph 3 of that statement and read that over for yourself. Okay.
All right.
And can you tell us generally what that's referring to?
I don't know. I haven't seen this exhibit before today.
All right.
and it doesn't contain a date. So the last sentence says, that was the last time I recall the city attorney speaking with me. I don't know what he's referring to.
Okay. When you provide legal advice to city officials, is there any law that requires the recipient of that advice to act according to your advice?
No,
Okay. Do you see any concerns if, well, I assume you'd have concerns if a city official did not follow your advice, but can you talk about what consequences you see there might be?
well, you have concerns when perhaps actions are taken or actions are not taken on the advice that you've given, then it may put the organization in peril. Just depends on the individual circumstances.
Okay. Do city ordinances or state law provide any procedures for a city official who disagrees with your advice or legal opinion to get a second or outside opinion in the matter?
Not that I'm aware of. Generally, you've got a defense if you rely on the advice of the city attorney. If you want to go outside of the organization and seek your own opinion elsewhere, you're going to run into problems later on, I think, if you act on that advice and against the advice of the organization's attorney who is advising the client, the organizational client, depending on what they've done.
Thank you. I have no further questions. Do any members of the board have questions?
I have just some follow-up.
Sure.
On the meetings that you testified on, that you had with the mayor. I think you testified that during one of those two meetings, or maybe both, it became clear that that Mayor Denny did not want the drop box deployed. I'm just wondering if you could expound on that, of why you came away with that, the feeling that he did not want it deployed?
Well, I believe I testified to this at my deposition. I hadn't said it here, but I believe the clerk had put out some kind of a press release or something, as she'd done in prior elections, that she was going to be sending out absentee ballots or putting out a box or something. I don't recall what the release said. And that was the first time I remember him coming up to my office, and he was pacing back and forth and appeared to be upset that the clerk had done that, and made comments about, now I'm going to have to take some action, maybe against her, or do something because she didn't check with me. And it was clear to me that he did not want a box strap deployed and that they had not agreed on that issue. And I wanted to make him aware that I had concerns that if he acted beyond the advice that we were giving him under USA priorities, that the clerk had the statutory discretion to decide to utilize a drop box, not required to, but could determine the site and could install it, have it managed, have it emptied, and so on and so forth, that there could be potential problems.
And was there any concern about security from the mayor at that time during those July meetings?
I don't recall that being a concern of his.
Okay. I don't think I have any other further.
I just have a couple questions. So prior to, or I guess in response to our request for any communication that you had with the mayor, I believe you had to deny that request based on some direction from the DOJ, I believe, is what we were told as a body. I think that was also the reason that depositions were not able to be collected at an earlier date. Can you just, can you tell us anything about what had changed, or if you had any direction from other legal bodies to not communicate with the mayor or the respondent? Can you expound on any of that?
Yes, we were acting under the advice of counsel from pretty much September 25th on anyway. But the attorney, the respondent's attorney, Attorney Erlinson, then had brought the motion to compel, And our attorney for the employees had responded to that motion, and it was briefed, as I understand, and the board made a decision. So you subpoenaed us, we're here to testify.
Thank you.
Else? Attorney Erlinson.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Attorney Jacobson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Erlinson.
All right. So you played no role in any discussions concerning deployment of an absentee ballot drop box for the August 24 primaries.
That is correct.
That was discussion between Ms. Bernardi and the mayor, and you weren't involved.
Correct.
And then the conversation you had with the mayor, you described as an impromptu conversation. That's the one where he came to your office? Mm-hmm. And,
Yes.
And you gave advice about the clerk's option or discretion to use absentee ballot drop box, correct?
Yes.
Now, you didn't author a formal written opinion on the subject until September 26th, correct?
Correct.
Because you decided it was a good idea to get it out and to formalize and be consistent with advice you had given to the clerk and the mayor. Correct?
Yes.
And we looked at your memo, which was Exhibit
7.
7. You addressed it to the clerk, you did not address it to the mayor, correct?
Correct.
In fact, you didn't provide the mayor with a copy until September 30th, the following Monday.
Correct.
And you don't recall the city clerk ever seeking advice as to the security requirements for deploying an absentee ballot drop box in accordance with the Priorities USA decision, correct?
Correct.
Whatever the clerk decided to do with that box was without the benefit of getting legal advice from you.
Well, it was within her discretion. I think she would have asked me if she'd felt she needed legal guidance on security.
She asked for no such guidance.
Not that I recall.
And do you know who appoints the clerk? Who?
The mayor, by
Yeah.
ordinance.
Do you know who is responsible by state statute for termination decisions of the clerk?
I would assume that would be the mayor in conjunction with the human resources director.
If you would please, if you have Exhibit 14.
I don't. I have it.
Okay. Exhibit 14 includes a copy of Wisconsin Statute Section 17.12. Are you familiar with this statute?
Yes.
And what is it?
What's the statute?
What does it deal with?
It provides for the procedure by which elective and appointed officers can be removed from office.
And how about appointed officers? How is an appointed officer removed?
Either by the common council, at pleasure, or an officer appointed by an officer or body other than the common council, whether or not the appointment was confirmed by the common council by either the appointing officer or body at pleasure or by the common council for cause.
So the clerk would be an officer appointed by an officer, correct?
Yes.
So the officer may be terminated by the appointing officer. So the clerk can be terminated by the mayor at pleasure, correct?
Yes.
So in the city of Wausau, under the structure that exists, if an election goes really badly, who is accountable to the electorate?
What do you mean an election goes really badly?
Well,
Give me an example.
if there is great concern and unrest amongst the citizens of the city of Wausau as to the conduct of an election, okay, who is accountable to the electorate in such circumstances?
The clerk?
How?
They'd probably report their complaints to
What
her
can the electorate-
supervisor or the mayor.
Right. What can the electorate do to the clerk other than
File-
complain?
Yeah, file a complaint with the Wisconsin Elections Commission.
And file a complaint to the mayor?
Yes,
And then it's up to the mayor to make a decision, because the mayor is accountable to the electorate, correct?
yes.
So when this all became an issue on May 23rd,
May
2024,
23rd.
or September, I keep doing that. I don't know
Okay.
why. September 23rd, 2024. Thank you. You were not in the office.
That's correct.
And did you have your laptop?
I did not.
Okay. So
I had the day off. I checked that out. My birthday was on September 22nd, and I had the 23rd off. I did not have my work laptop at home.
And you never spoke to the mayor during the week of September 23rd, 2024 at any time, correct?
That's correct.
And this was even though the clerk had sought advice about making a referral to the district attorney suggesting that the mayor had broken the law. Correct?
Yes.
Never bothered to talk to the mayor about it.
No.
You never thought of trying to get everybody in the same room to discuss the situation, correct?
Correct.
Now, one of your office doors is less than 15 feet from the mayor's office, correct?
Well, again, I don't know exact distances, but our office suites are adjacent to one another. Yes.
And you have an office door that opens directly into the,
Assistance area.
right outside the mayor's office.
That is correct.
Okay. And you have no opinion as to whether or not Mayor Dinny's moving the box indoors on September 22nd, 2024 was improper, do you?
I had concerns.
You don't
and
have
then
any legal
retaining it gave me concerns.
You don't have any legal opinion whether Mayor Dinny's moving the box indoors on September 22nd, 2024 was improper, do you?
Well, I don't think he had the authority to do it based on my opinion.
Well, have you developed that opinion in the last 4 days? You have a question in mind? Have you developed that opinion in the last 4 days?
No.
Ms. Jacobson, I've handed you the sealed copy of your deposition from Monday. If you could turn to page 61, please. And let me know when you have it.
All right.
Picking up at line 14, question, have you ever formed an opinion as to whether or not the box being moved indoors on September 22nd, 2024 was improper? Answer, no. Did I read that correctly?
You did.
You were never asked and you've never provided an opinion as to whether the mayor moving the box indoors on September 22nd, 2024 constituted an election irregularity, correct?
Correct.
You have no opinion as to whether or not the box's absence from the City Hall lobby at noon on Friday, September 27th, 2024, was an election irregularity, do you?
I rendered no opinions. I was not asked for any on election irregularity. The DA's office enforces that.
And you've never been asked to provide an opinion as to whether the box in question, as situated on September 22nd, 2024, was an absentee ballot drop box deployed in conformance with the Priorities USA decision, do you?
I was not asked for an opinion, nor did I give a formal written opinion on whether it was a formal absentee ballot drop box.
Deployed in conformance with the Priorities USA decision, correct?
Correct.
And you had no opinion on that matter as of Monday, October 6, 2025, correct?
I thought you were asking my personal opinion. I didn't write any
you're the city
for-
attorney.
Yeah.
That's the capacity you're here in. So any of
that's
my
right.
questions
Okay.
are couched in that framing. I'm not, and I don't think it'd be helpful to get into your personal opinions.
Correct. Be improper.
We understand each other. All right. And you had no such legal opinion as of Monday, October 6, 2025, correct?
Correct.
And alders have no role in the day-to-day conduct and management of city business, correct?
Correct.
The Common Council is akin to a corporation's board of directors. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
But you do recall Lisa Rasmussen, an alder, may have sought legal advice concerning the mayor's authority regarding removal of the box on Monday, September 23rd, correct?
Yes.
So she got a hold of you.
Monday evening.
And you don't recall providing any such advice?
I don't recall whether I provided advice to her or she just called me to tell me what was happening since I hadn't been at work all day.
But you don't recall providing any advice?
To Lisa Rasmussen?
Yeah.
On Monday, the
Correct.
23rd?
Correct.
Correct.
And just for the record, you have a pending grievance against Mayor Denny, correct?
Correct.
And you have a pending complaint against Mayor Denny.
Correct.
All right. If you could grab Exhibit 8, or if Mr. Larson could hand it to you.
All right. I have it.
All right. If you could turn, do you know what this is?
No.
Okay. I'll represent to you that this is a privilege log furnished to my office shortly after 5:26 last night by Attorney Sam Hall.
This official statement is this Exhibit 8?
Oh, I'm sorry. The privilege log. I must have the exhibit number wrong, perhaps?
Exhibit 6.
Oh, Exhibit 6. Thank you.
Sorry.
Beg your pardon. Let me start over. Attorney Jacobson, you've been handed what's been marked as Exhibit 6. Do you recognize it?
No, I have not yet seen a copy of the privilege log.
Okay. Do you know what a privilege log is?
I do now.
Okay. You recall that the subpoena you received required a privilege log for any documents withheld
Yes.
on grounds of privilege.
Yes.
And that was the subpoena you got in this proceeding from my office, correct?
Yes.
All right. So if you could turn to page 5. And this is a table that's all under the heading "and Jacobson's production." Picking up at the third entry on page 5. Do you see that?
Yes.
It's a 9/25/2024 email.
Yes.
Can you please count at page 5, page 6, page 7, and page 8 the number of emails that were withheld on privilege grounds that were exchanged by and between you, Ms. Bernardi, Sam Hall, during the week, during the period September 25th through September 30th?
15. That's through page 6.
Yep,
Oh, I'm
keep
sorry,
going.
then there's a couple. 10, 8, 15, 16. 18. $37.
37 emails.
Am I
all
correct?
all between September 25th and September 30th, correct?
Yes,
All right.
yes.
And then if you go to page 9, under Caitlin Bernardi's production, there's an email from September 23rd, 2024, between you and Ms. Bernardi that was withheld from Ms. Bernardi's production. Is that right?
Yes.
So we had at least a 38th email between the period September 23rd and September 30th that you were a part of that were withheld from production, correct?
Yes.
And these were all, to one degree or another, emails concerning the box situation, correct?
Yes.
And not one email from you to the mayor that entire time, correct? Is that correct?
It's correct, but there's a reason for it.
Well, I'll bet. No further questions.
I have one follow-up, and then we'll ask the board members if they have any. if I'm remembering your testimony correctly, when Attorney Erlinson started questioning you about accountability, I think you said something about the Wisconsin Elections Commission. Am I remembering correctly? It's hard to, yeah.
I don't recall which question you're referring to.
My question was about the electorate. She brought up the
Oh, who is
Elections Commission.
accountable?
Yeah, right. And so you apparently did bring up the Wisconsin Elections Commission. Do they have authority to hear complaints then?
They do.
Okay. Do you know if anyone filed a complaint against Mayor Denny relating to or Clerk Bernardi relating to the conduct of the 2024 general election in Wausau?
I do know that 2 complaints were filed by citizens, but not against Mayor Denny. It was against the clerk, the deputy clerk, and the finance director with the Wisconsin Elections Commission.
Were any decisions rendered in those cases?
Yes.
Can you tell us if you know what the decisions were?
One, I think, was a public case. I think that was 24-108, and the confidential one was 109. I don't think I'm permitted to discuss the confidential one, but the other one was dismissed, as far as I understand.
Thank you. Any other board members have questions? I don't see any. So, having no further questions, you will be excused upon return of the exhibits.
And does Attorney Erlinson get the deposition back?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Chairman, would you mind if the mayor made a quick pit stop before his testimony?
Not at all.
Won't take but a minute.
Oh, I see. Should I push you first then? I suppose.
While we're waiting, I'm just wondering if we have just a sort of an idea, if you know how long a question would be for both sides, I guess. I was just kind of curious if we have an idea.
I'm going to go as quick as I can.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, I was just wondering if the testimony, if we're looking at an hour or two, I'm just, curious as to how we play out the night, that's all.
I think the entirety of it could go 90 minutes.
Could go what?
Could go 90 minutes, including the board's questions.
Okay.
And any follow-up I had.
Okay.
Hopefully less.
Are we gonna have a meeting after this?
Right.
Well, we can meet.
All right. Just go up and be sworn. I'm not sure whose turn it is. you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Everybody ready?
Yes, sir.
Mayor Denny, this is generally the chair's job, but Mayor Denny, could you state your name and spell it for the record?
It is Doug Dinney, Dougdiny. I'm the mayor, City of Wausau.
When were you elected, Mayor Denny?
In April of last year, 2024.
All right. And,
Sworn in on the 16th of April, I believe.
and did you ever take any steps in September to stop the clerk from deploying a ballot drop box in accordance with Priorities USA, the opinion authored by the Supreme Court in July of 2024?
Before I answer that, could I just point out to the clerk, the door is locked, so we've got an open meeting violation going on, possibly. Okay, somebody unlocked it. Okay, we're good. Sorry about that. All right,
Mr. Mayor, do you have the question in mind?
I do. And I guess I'm going to ask you to repeat it because
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you ever try to stop the municipal clerk, Caitlin Bernardi, from deploying a drop box for use in the November 2024 general election during September of 2024?
No.
Now, politically, personally, when you were elected, did you have views about whether absentee ballot drop boxes were a good or a bad idea?
I did.
And what are they?
Well, I do listen to the electorate, and when I was elected, I heard a lot of input that people didn't think we needed the drop box. Generally speaking, I felt the clerk flexed her hours. We were open on Saturday before the election. We were open later in the evening. We had drive-up service, so if you drove up, you could push a doorbell from your car. You could go out and the clerk would come out and collect your ballot. So for all of the reasons, we had many opportunities for people to be able to vote. I felt it was redundant and not necessary.
What, if any, concerns about security of absentee ballot drop boxes did you have when you were elected mayor?
Well, I was concerned about one of the items that and I specifically discussed was the requirement that you only return your own ballot. And the boxes as deployed don't have any means of countering that. I spent several 20-minute bursts behind the clerk's window, during which time people who came in with multiple ballots, and they're required to ask, are you providing this ballot for somebody who is incapacitated? Or, in a lot of cases, no, it's my husband's, it's my neighbor's, it's somebody else's, and they would then be required to return that ballot. So that was one question I didn't know how we were going to solve with that deployment.
And what about the security apparatus surrounding boxes to detect reliably any potential tampering with boxes?
I felt that when I looked at the camera on the front door in particular, that was the fisheye camera we were talking about. So it's like 120 plus degree view. It's distorted. At night, it was impossible to distinguish who was out there, and I did an experiment on my own as well.
So after the Priorities USA decision came out in July, do you recall communicating with the clerk, Ms. Bernardi, about the August 2024 primary?
Yes, She came to my office. It might have been on the calendar to discuss that deployment. There were issues with the locks, as we've heard earlier. It felt to me like we were in a haste and a rush to try to get this out. And that's the meeting that we discussed what we would do, what was the plan, how would we get it ready. We needed to drill out and replace the locks. I was unaware at that time there was an effort to rewrap it, but my concerns were those, and that's where we had the agreement to take it to council. We agreed that it was a rush to get it into the August, use it for August, but we would reconsider it with council for the November election.
And did you understand that under Priorities USA, the Supreme Court recognized a measure of discretion that the city clerk had in making the decision to use an absentee ballot drop box?
Yes,
And did you respect that?
yes.
Why did you want it to go to council?
Well, if you recall, I was just recently elected, and I had a lot of feedback on the Dropbox. So I felt that it was important that residents have some input on it. It was a hot button item, and I felt the best way to do that would be for the city council members and the alders, and which is quite common. They have neighborhood meetings. They have feedback mechanisms where they can take the temperature, and I felt that was the way to do it. Much like when we had recently, when I was an alder, we moved an election site from one location to the Good Shepherd Church. I think it was Sylvan Hill. The parking lot was deemed inaccessible to wheelchairs, so we moved it to Sylvan Hill. The clerk is responsible for all the logistics, getting the contract, getting the permission, and then ultimately brings it to council for approval. And that was the way I viewed this box. It would be similar to relocating an election location.
And did you have any intention to oppose the deployment of an absentee ballot drop box when the matter was brought before the Common Council?
It wasn't, as mayor, I do have an opportunity to give input at times, but in that moment, the discussion we had was, I was concerned that we had an administrative difference of opinion play out publicly between the clerk and me, the mayor and the clerk. And I felt that wasn't healthy, and I felt that having this conversation with council, or at least she could present the plan, they would approve it, bless it, and I thought the likelihood was very high that they would. So I felt that was an appropriate ask, as other cities have done. In the moment, I think I was talking to the mayor of Brookfield, Waukesha, New Berlin, and I also spoke to some of the clerks to try to get a feel for how this would look, talked about the cameras, talked about lighting, and I offered those suggestions as well.
And what was the next opportunity you had to communicate with Ms. Bernardi about the plan for deploying a drop box?
So that was the July meeting, I think it was July 18th. So then the next communication was September 19th. When she came in, I was on a Zoom call. I muted it, and she told me that she had 4,000 ballots ready to go to be mailed out, and they would have an instruction to drop them off, or that they could use the drop box.
And what was your reaction to her coming in while you were on a Zoom call and telling you this on September 19th?
I was stunned. It was like gut punched, and I was just disappointed because I have had a lot of respect for the clerk. She has a very at times demanding job. She's fairly well organized generally, and we did meet regularly on other issues like open records. Every week we met on open records to get an update. So I felt, this is a trusted employee. It really felt like insubordination in the moment, and I expressed my disappointment.
During that discussion while your Zoom call was on mute, did she tell you what the game plan was as it concerned lighting and cameras and security?
No.
Did she ever discuss that with you at any time prior to September 22nd?
Well, I think at the July meeting, we discussed generally what that entailed, and of course, the box being inaccessible because the locks weren't working. So just that, the matter of having an operational and a functional box. I think on that day, she came in on the 19th. Well, I know on that day, I did express concerns about security. One was the live camera. I had talked to other cities who had employed them, so you could go on YouTube or some sort of a live feed. We could put it on the website. And she objected to that for reasons that I think she stated earlier. And the lighting and things like that, it came to, we discussed after that, but in that moment, my concern was about security.
And so while your Zoom call, or maybe you use Teams, while your conference is on mute, did she discuss with you the plan for lighting and cameras?
No, at that time, I think she thought everything was acceptable.
But did she describe what she had considered and deemed acceptable?
No.
So after your call, what, if anything, did you do concerning the box on September 19th?
I called Jerry Klein. He was the first call because I wanted to investigate the possibility of using a live feed camera. I wanted to understand the quality of the cameras outside that were employed, and I had looked at it. I don't know if I had looked at it prior, but I was concerned about those. So he came down right away. We talked about possibility of putting a camera on it, putting better lighting on it, and he described to me then that the fisheye camera on the front door was like 15 years old and it was at its end of life, and they had it on a list to replace. So that was apparently an initiative that they knew already or Jerry knew at that time needed to be done, but it had not yet been done.
In your discussion with Mr. Klein on September 29th, where did that take place?
In my office.
Okay. And do you recall being outside looking at the box and looking around on September 19th with Mr. Klein?
We did go down and we surveyed the area, yes.
And do you recall Attorney Jacobson being there?
I don't recall that, but if she was, it was really Jerry and I.
And what color was the box when you were out there? Was it being wrapped or had it been wrapped? We heard some testimony. Do you remember?
I don't. I thought it was silver. I thought they at that point may have pulled the wrap off, but I don't remember.
And do you recall Ms. Bernardi coming out while you and Mr. Klein were out front?
I heard that testimony, but I don't recall seeing her come out.
Okay.
She didn't speak to us.
And then what was the situation with the box on the 20th, Friday, September 20th?
At some point during the day, I went outside, and because I think I saw somebody out there working on it, and I walked up to see what they were doing. I assumed it was a shop person. I thought it was one of our sign shop guys. So I went up and I asked him, why aren't you getting this ready in the shop, and just trying to figure out what he was doing. And he told me they were rewrapping it kind of on a rush order from Ashley Klein. And the conversation was short, but I realized he was not a city employee, and I left it at that. That was Friday afternoon, I think.
And did you have any communication with Ms. Bernardi about what stage of deployment or what still needed to be done or what the plan was with the box you saw being wrapped on September 20th?
Not that afternoon. I'm going to say it was probably closer to 4:30. I think most people in the building were gone by then.
All right. So when you left, was the guy still working on it?
He was.
All right. So you come to work on Sunday?
I'm in my office pretty much every weekend, at least one half a day.
Okay. So let's talk about Sunday, September 22nd. You come to work, what do you see?
I saw the box sitting there, and I went out to inspect it, and I realized, it's very light. It was clearly not secured.
So you could tip it just
Yes.
with your hand?
Yep.
Is it as heavy as a washing machine?
No.
And was it fastened in any way either to the ground or to the railings?
No.
Was it locked?
There was a plate on it, yes, that I believe said kiosk closed. So yes.
Did it say anything about balance?
No.
And what did you do then?
I realized that essentially, it should be secured. I went and got a dolly, came out and tipped it back, wheeled it in.
And did you don a helmet?
I did.
And did you have a picture taken?
I did.
How do you feel about that now?
Well, looking back on it, it certainly fueled some viral activity that was unnecessary in this matter. I took it maybe in a frivolous moment, but it wasn't my intention for it to go viral.
Did you intend it to be posted online?
No.
Did you have a particular audience you intended to send the picture?
Well, I did. Some friends, I guess you would say, was inside conversation, sure.
Okay. So you wheel this box into City Hall. Where do you put it?
In my office.
Why?
Well, I felt that was a secure location. That's where I work. And I felt, and I talked about this at the October 8th council meeting. I felt we needed to take action to get it right. I brought it in to send a message. Now, I certainly can be criticized for my methods, but I can't be criticized for my values in what I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to instill a little instill confidence that we're going to do things right. And, I'll keep it to that. I moved it in there because I felt I would send the message that there was some insubordination, and I felt she would respond to that fairly quickly the next day.
So you get to work on Monday. Who do you communicate with about the box?
I was here at about 7 o'clock Monday morning. I went downstairs to tell Leo Gao because it was my assumption that that he or his staff were potentially installing it. So he was not in, so I believe I sent an email from my phone. And I think his response was, I thought that was already taken care of. And we had the Police and Fire Commission meeting here at 7:30, and it was sometime after that we were up in my office with the police chief, fire chief, the two deputy chiefs, and a police commission candidate that we were interviewing for the job. of police commissioner.
And did you speak with Chief Barnes about the box either before or after that meeting?
I did, and he saw the box in my office.
You weren't hiding it.
I was not.
All right. So if you have Exhibit 2 in front of you, do you recognize this document?
I do.
And what is it?
It's an email from Leo Gao, to Eric Lindman, copy me, Caitlin Bernardi, and Matthew Barnes. Regarding the Dropbox, he says to Eric, after we figured out what we're doing with the Dropbox, I will be waiting on orders from you on this.
Now, up to this point, had Ms. Bernardi ever told you that the plan was that the box was going to sit outside over the weekend and then it was going to be bolted down and secured and opened on the 23rd?
No, I didn't know what the plan was.
You just saw a box sitting unsecured and it didn't say ballots and you wheeled it in?
Correct.
Did anybody from the clerk's office contact you about this situation on Monday, September 23rd?
No.
Did anybody from the city clerk's office contact you to address the situation on Tuesday, September 24th?
No.
Same question for Wednesday, September 25th.
No.
Did you reach out to Ms. Bernardi on the 25th?
I did.
Did she respond to you?
No.
Did anybody from the city attorney's office reach out to you on Monday, September 23rd through Friday of September 27th?
No.
Did anybody from DPW contact you saying they'd been asked to retrieve the box?
No.
Did anyone make a request to retrieve the box that you refused or denied?
No, other than the testimony you heard from Alder Rasmussen.
Which was that?
The email Rasmussen sent me on that Monday demanding that I apologize and whatever, return the box. I'm not sure what her actual demand was, but it was what I felt was interfering with my function of oversight of the city clerk. And it was an issue that I felt we would resolve without interference from someone not in the chain of command at all.
Did you have an expectation that during the week of September 23rd, you would have a conversation with the clerk?
Yes.
Did you consider the ball to be in her court?
Yes.
Did you ever attempt to conceal this box from anyone?
No.
So on Friday, September 27th, did you receive an email and a letter from Ms. Bernardi demanding that the box be, or I guess it was respectfully requesting, that the box be returned by noon to the lobby?
I did.
And what was your schedule like that week?
Well, this was my first budget season. We had some delays in getting the budget software working, so I was booked for multiple days and felt like weeks in a row, nonstop, back-to-back budget meetings with directors, with the finance director. So my schedule was pretty tight that week.
So you didn't have room to respond within 2 hours to some demand from the clerk?
2 hours seemed kind of like a short response, and at that point I had not retained an attorney because I didn't feel that this was going to get to a legal issue. I thought we would work through this. So I had not retained an attorney, and I did proceed to try to find one that day.
And were you aware that the clerk had made multiple public statements or issued official statements about this matter during the week of September 23rd before she ever communicated with you in any way?
I was. I did see the one, I believe it was on the 25th.
this way. This would be Exhibit 22. I've marked Exhibit 22 and Exhibit 23.
Mr. Mayor, you've been handed what's been marked as Exhibit 22 and 23. Do you recognize those documents?
Yes.
What are they?
This is my calendar, printout of my Outlook calendar from September 16th to September 22nd, and then the other page is from 23rd to the 29th of September 2024.
Inviting your attention to Exhibit 22, can you look at the calendar entry for September 19th?
Okay?
You see it?
Yes.
Okay, there's a noon something or other about what?
Oh, that was the ballot drop box. That was my invitation to Jerry Klein. That was, oh, I'm sorry. Let me think about that. Yes. So the 10 o'clock to 11:30 meeting with Janice Watson was ECDC Quarterly Community Consultation Meeting. So that's the Zoom call I was having. It was a group Zoom call. That's when Ms. Bernardi came in. The 12 to 12:30 was referenced Jerry Klein because I sent him a meeting invite.
Okay, so Ms. Bernardi comes in, says, I'm deploying the Dropbox.
Right.
And you had been discussing with Mr. Klein camera and lighting stuff
Yeah.
historically. So you sent him an email right away, or a calendar invite right away?
Yeah, I think it was calendar invite, but I think I might have called him. I was kind of multitasking there, so I can't tell you exactly. But he came down right away.
And it ended up on your calendar.
Yeah.
And how about Friday the 27th, Exhibit 23?
Yes.
Can you tell me what your calendar looked like on Friday, September 27th? In the morning.
In the morning, so at 8 to 8:45, again, Jerry Klein was in, but that was a budget discussion. We had the 10 to 11, the HR budget review that was in the boardroom. And then 11 to 11:30, again, CCIT budget. And then Metro Ride was in the afternoon. And I may have canceled Metro Ride because I think I had to retain legal counsel. So I left to try to get that to happen.
Okay. So not long after noon, Ms. Bernardi sent some sort of communication to the Common Council about you concealing and or whatever the ballot box. Were you a part of that communication loop as a member of the council? Not a great question. Let me find the exhibit.
Exhibit 24.
Mr. Mayor, you've been handed what's been marked as Exhibit 24 for identification purposes. Do you recognize that?
Well, I recognize the third page, which is the request I return this by noon. But I don't know if I was looped in on the email to Whetstone.
Well, the first email that appears as part of Exhibit 24 is a Caitlin Bernardi email to Caitlin Bernardi, CC Ann Jacobson, and DG Clerk, and it reads, "Hello, council members, please see attached." You see that?
I do.
Now, is there some kind of listserv that the clerk can use to email all the council members?
There's a common council. Well, I don't know if it's unique to my Outlook, but there is a common council button that'll loop everyone in, or that puts all their addresses in. But I don't see that here.
Okay. So you didn't know that Ms. Bernardi had prepared some email to council members attaching her allegations that there were ongoing election irregularities?
I'm not recalling seeing this.
Okay. So you left the office on Friday, September 27, because I believe you said you wanted to hire a lawyer based
Correct.
on how this had all gone down.
That is correct, because it appeared that she was threatening me with some sort of report to the Marathon County District Attorney's Office and the Wisconsin Election Commission. So I felt before I responded in any way, I need legal representation.
And other than the letter that she sent you about the box being back in the lobby by noon, had Ms. Bernardi made any other communication with you during that entire week,
No,
including not responding to the email you sent her on Wednesday, the 25th?
that's correct.
Now, you did send her an email on Sunday, the 29th, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And if the witness could have Exhibit 19, please, Mr. Larson. Is this the email you sent?
Yes, it is.
Why'd you send it?
Well, I was looking to, I think I even used the term here, to plan to move the cheese. I wasn't expecting nor anticipating the viral nature that this took. That 15 minutes of fame wasn't something I was seeking, and I was trying to remedy and find a solution that we could all live with and follow the guidelines. So I outlined, again, I think we read this earlier. I do have a lot of respect for her capacity, and I wanted to let her know that, and that she had options to move this forward, which I felt were in a legal way, and it would satisfy people looking for some clarity or for some transparency and good process in the election.
And did you still hope and expect that the matter would be brought before the Common Council to approve the plan?
I did, and I expected this would spark more conversation. I didn't recognize at the time that there wasn't it didn't feel like there was really reciprocal interest in solving amicably. And I realized then that the dogs had been unleashed on me, and I did what I could to keep moving it forward as professionally as possible. And the council weighing in on it was one of those things. And as I mentioned, the three other cities that I talked to, they performed that way. So there was a lot of flexibility that the clerk had to be able to hear from residents, hear from alders, and make an informed decision.
And did you convey your intentions about a way forward to Mr. Gao on Monday morning?
Yes, I indicated to him that the clerk would reach out to him when it was the course of action was decided.
Actually, if you can look at Exhibit 20. This is the email string that began on September 23rd. If you look at the second page with Mr. Gao's email that we've seen before as Exhibit 2. And then Mr. Gao, his email, which is the next in the chain, was Monday, September 30th, 2024 at 7:48 a.m. And it's again to Mr. Lindman with you and the clerk as CCs. And it begins, "Good morning, Eric. Doug called me yesterday." Does that refresh your recollection as to when you spoke to Mr. Gao?
Yes.
So did you speak to him Monday, or did you actually speak to him on Sunday?
I want to say I spoke to him on Sunday. I believe I called him on his cell because I felt it was important that he knew it was there, so that I didn't know if he was going to be in Johnny on the spot Monday morning, but I wanted him to know I put it in the maintenance bay where it had previously been for some time.
So where is the maintenance bay?
The maintenance bay is in the basement of this building.
Okay. So you went into your office at some point over the weekend
Yes.
and put it on a dolly, same dolly?
Probably the same dolly. I might have picked it up, but I think there's plenty of dollies around here. I might have went to the maintenance bay, and I went to the elevator, went down to the basement, and the maintenance bay is 20, 30 feet from the elevator.
So sometime over the weekend?
Yes, and I can't tell you if it was Saturday or Sunday, but it was over the weekend. I think it was Sunday.
You emailed the clerk on Wednesday, the 25th. Did you ever call her?
I did not.
Why not?
Well, in retrospect, it probably would have been maybe better, but I felt the way that the things were playing out, I needed to stay formal with written documentation, because it was clear to me that any of the informal conversations we had were potentially misconstrued.
And if Ms. Bernardi or the finance director or Attorney Jacobson wanted to sit down during the week of September 23rd, is that something you would have done?
Yes.
I don't have anything further for you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, late afternoon, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for joining us. Some follow-up questions I have. I want to be clear. I'm not suggesting that there's any need, but I want to be clear. Have you ever obtained a law degree?
I'm a few credits short of a law degree.
And in taking, just to cover this item. In taking the Dropbox and keeping it in your office for a week, were you acting in your official capacity as mayor of the city of Wausau?
I believe that I was.
And you took an oath of office before assuming your duties as mayor, is that right?
Yes.
Not going to ask you to recite it from memory. You probably don't cover that every day, but can you tell us, does it refer to any constitutions?
Uphold the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin and all city ordinances.
Probably the U.S. as well, and city ordinances, yes, thank you. And under your understanding of the Wisconsin Constitution, does an executive officer have any authority to disregard legislative decisions that take the form of state statutes?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, under your understanding of the Wisconsin Constitution, does an executive officer, such as a mayor, have authority to disregard legislative decisions that take the form of state statutes?
I would not think so. I can't think of one where we would have latitude.
Okay. And under your understanding of the Wisconsin Constitution, does an executive officer have authority to disregard Wisconsin Supreme Court decisions about the proper interpretation of state statutes?
I would say, I'm not understanding the question. The question is, the legislature creates laws. The Supreme Court interprets laws.
Right.
So if you're talking specifically about the matter, I did review the
Priorities USA?
Priorities USA. Yes.
Okay. You reviewed that. Did you feel there would be any authority for you to disregard the holding of that decision?
No.
Okay. Thanks. And we've heard the description of the mayor's responsibility as the city's chief executive, and is responsible for supervising and directing the day-to-day operations of city government. And the mayor has a statutory duty to take care that ordinances and state laws are observed and enforced, and that all city officers and employees discharge their duties. And that's what you are attempting to do in this matter, I presume, from the testimony I've heard so far.
That would be correct.
Okay. Did you at any time request any guidance from the city attorney about how the Priorities USA case affected the operation of city government?
I had one meeting with her, and that was immediately after my July 18th meeting with the clerk. And I went next door after that meeting and told her that the clerk and I had come to an agreement that we would not deploy the box for August for various reasons, and that we would take it to council for the November election once we had a plan in place to make that happen.
And this is as described in your sworn statement, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so you dispute, just to be clear, you dispute the testimony we heard earlier from the city attorney that she had discussed the subject with you on it. She had advised you at least on other occasions. This is the only one you remember?
I believe it was only the one time, but she mentioned that she came to brief me before she went on vacation, and I believe that might have been the 26th. So there was a whole host of things that were discussed that she had on her plate. But it wasn't notable in that moment. The only notable one was when I went to her office to let her know we had a plan. And in that, I described what other cities were doing, and her response was, they're wrong in their interpretation. And she handed me a copy of the frequently asked questions, because at that point there wasn't a lot out there on it. And that's what she gave me, is the frequently asked questions on the matter. And it was, yeah.
Okay. And you heard, I don't know, did you hear Clerk Bernardi testify that she attended this core curriculum training course conducted under the direction of the Wisconsin Elections Commission?
Yes.
Have you ever attended one of those trainings?
I have viewed several online, but I have not attended any in person.
Okay. Did you believe that the issue of whether an absentee ballot drop box would be used would be resolved by the Common Council?
Could you repeat that?
Sure. Did you believe that the issue of whether an absentee ballot drop box would be used would be resolved by the Common Council?
Well, it was my thought that the Common Council would support whatever the clerk presented to them, and I felt that very likely they would have supported that. And I wasn't necessarily looking for the council to decide. I was looking for council to, just as with moving the polling location, that the clerk would present her plan and then they would confirm.
Okay. Based on your understanding of state law, including the Priorities USA case, could the Common Council refuse to take any action on the issue of whether to have an absentee ballot drop box?
Could they refuse?
Right.
I think the Common Council could do anything they want, as witnessed by other cities and other villages doing similar things. So there is not a uniform. And I would guess if I had a critique of Priorities USA, there's a lot of vagaries there and a lot of latitude to do, just to have them, to not have them, to seek advice from council, to not seek advice. It was wide open, and I feel potentially part of the problem.
And do you think that, based on what you just said, do you think that the Common Council could vote to overrule a clerk's decision to have an absentee ballot drop box?
I think the council could vote to enact any type of ordinance, sure.
And do you see that as being consistent with the Priorities USA case holding?
In that the latitude is broad, other cities' clerks did it, and I reviewed a number of them. I called clerks in other cities. I talked to Stevens Point. I talked to Green Bay clerks. I talked to Mayor Ponto from Brookfield, the mayor from Waukesha, the mayor from New Berlin. So I had varying opinions. There's a lot of latitude in how this can happen, and I felt the best way for the clerk to make an informed decision would be to get that feedback from the council. I was also fairly new. I was only here 3-4 months. So, but my understanding of what the electorate wanted was some input on it.
In talking to all these other municipalities, did you talk to any municipality where the city clerk decided to employ an absentee ballot drop box, but the Common Council of that city overruled that decision?
No.
Okay. If the Common Council voted or rather adopted a resolution authorizing the use of an absentee ballot drop box. Would you have authority as mayor to veto the council's resolution?
I would suppose I would, sure.
In discussing the issue of the absentee ballot drop box with the clerk, were you intending to express your opinion to the clerk?
At what point?
When you were discussing, in particular, in mid-July of 2024, what I'm getting at, I guess, is were you issuing an order to the clerk about absentee ballot drop boxes, or were you expressing your opinion?
I was expressing my opinion. If you recall, it was 3 months on the job at that point, and there were a lot of their constituents concerned about drop boxes. And one of the first things I did, as we heard testimony in, is we removed the duplicate box that was out there late April, early May timeframe, because it was not legal at that point. So we removed it, put it in safekeeping, because clerk was concerned that, hey, what if it reverses and we can use them again? And I said, well, then we'll revisit it and we can reinstall it. But it made no sense to have it sitting out there rusting and not having any use or attention and confusing the public. And I don't know if I answered your question. I'm on my opinion on it.
I think that's all right. Thank you. I'd like to have this document marked as an exhibit.
$25.
Please. Mr. Mayor, do you recognize that document? Oops, I didn't get it to you.
I do.
Okay. I'll wait till your attorney has a copy of it. Can you tell us what that document is?
Okay, so this is the Wednesday email to the clerk. And I was at that point looking for feedback on our, you know what, I read, I had this written, and directive was agreement originally, and I went to directive, but in my opinion, it was mutual. That to get advice and consent from council on the matter of placing, securing, monitoring, and taking the pulse of the residents regarding the drop box.
Okay, so when you said directive, that may be too strong a word.
Well, it was, but yeah.
Okay, that's fine. It's the document, the email starts out, well, it starts out with the sentence, my belief is that all policy is set by the Wausau Common Council. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What were you referring to when you said policy?
Well, they are the policy board. So policy of the city, budget, they vote on the budget, they pass the budget, and ordinances are approved by the council. And policy here would be in regards to whether or not we deploy a drop box in accordance with the guidance of WEC.
Thank you. You also said there's a difference between an elected municipal clerk and a non-elected municipal clerk. And you give an explanation for it. One is accountable to the electorate, the other is accountable to supervisory staff and the mayor. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And I think my point there would be if she were an elected clerk, I would not have had the authority to intervene in any way or to make a corrective action. I would have had to take a different course because she wouldn't necessarily report to me.
Okay. Well, you also, in that sentence that you read from the end of the document, said that, and I know that directive is probably a stronger word than you necessarily wanted to use, but to seek advice and consent from the council in the matter. What were you, when you said consent, were you suggesting that the clerk was required to get the consent, the approval of the council?
No, but I felt it was within her authority and latitude given by Priorities USA to seek that consent. And just as placing an election site, and we moved it from Sylvan Hill to Good Shepherd, she presented the plan, counted parking stalls, handicapped access, power, security, and then presented that to the council, and they approved it. So it's advice and consent. I don't know if what the legal term would be, but in my opinion, it is different than an order. What this is overview or oversight of her plan.
You thought it would be a good idea for the council to be involved, to give her ideas, that kind of thing?
I did, yes.
Okay, it wasn't that unless, that she could not make a decision to deploy an absentee ballot drop box unless the council consented.
Right. And so my recollection of that conversation on the 19th, we talked fairly specifically, or one of those conversations very specifically about the political climate and what people were demanding or asking or concerned about with drop boxes. So we talked about that at length. And I think in the moment, I think she even mentioned that, we talked a little bit about what her political leanings were, and we talked a little bit about politics. And I wouldn't have known. She's done a very good job as a clerk, giving the appearance of neutrality. She manages the clerks, and I've had feedback from the Republicans and the Democrats on who are on elections or sitting in elections, that she seems to be very fair with all of them. So we had that, what I thought, some mutual respect and some conversation about what the political climate was out there around this issue. And we discussed then taking it to council would then give council members the opportunity to reach out to residents, get that feedback. And, I may be wrong, but I felt there was a lot of pushback against them. So I felt it would have been a good way for both of us to essentially have that feedback, have that cover, if you will, that we did our due diligence on getting an informed decision. Because it also says, I believe, I'll stop there. I can add to it if you want.
Thank you. Just so the board can be clear that we understand, what was your objective in taking the box? Did you have a plan? What did you hope to accomplish?
Well, I think I mentioned I felt that, there was a certain level of insubordination by not coming to me sooner. I mean, I found out as it was already being deployed. So, others apparently were in the loop in the weeks up to that. I really felt I was disappointed because I had a lot of trust in her, and it was out of left field that I got sucker punched.
Okay, I understand, but are there different ways of dealing with insubordination than taking the what you consider to be the absentee ballot drop box, or what was planned to be that drop box, and putting it in your office?
Well, and I've mentioned this to a number of people. If I would have put it in my car and left the premises, that would have been wrong. If it would have been bolted down and I unbolted it, that would have been wrong. If there were ballots in it, that would have been a problem. It was locked. It was not yet deployed. I took it in to send a message, and I fully expected that she was going to have a reaction that next morning. I underestimated how ugly it was going to get and how civilian activists would be out there posting online before, I said, people didn't know the box was there until it was missing. So when that story broke that it was missing, nobody knew the box was even there. It was not publicly announced. I certainly wasn't aware of it. The public wasn't aware of it. We talked about the newsletter. 16,000 voters get the newsletter, and it went out days before the box was deployed, and nobody knew the box was there.
But I guess my question was about whether there are other ways of dealing with insubordination, because that's what you identified.
Sure. And, I mentioned at the October 8th meeting, you may not like my methods, but I will tell you, this is the most dysfunctional organization I've ever been associated in 40 years in leadership. And at a certain level, some discipline and a certain amount of respect, cooperation. We have a lot of silos here. So I needed to start establishing that we're going to do things right here. We've recently had, we've had issues in other departments. I've never fired a person for making a mistake. I have fired somebody in my career a few times for lying to me. I take that kind of thing very seriously. We do what we say we're going to do, and we honor our oaths. We do our jobs, and that's all I expect of people who work for me, is to do your job, do what you say you're going to do, and hold people accountable.
If you remember, I believe your sworn statement at paragraph 7, do we need to give them a copy of that? Exhibit 1. Give you a moment to look at that, but as I recall, it indicates that you stated, it occurred to me that I could simply wheel it inside and send a message. I assume you're talking about the absentee ballot drop box.
I did say that, sure.
By what message were you intending to send? And to whom?
To the clerk.
To the clerk. Okay. And as we heard testified to today, you did eventually return custody of the Dropbox to the clerk. I believe that was September 29th
Yes.
or 30th, anyway, right, thereabouts. Why did you return the box at that time?
I would, we felt, after consulting with my attorney, that the best way forward would be to try to work out some middle ground here where I could get a response for the issues that I was concerned with. And, it wasn't my intention to keep it in my office for a full year. It was to try to move the cheese, I think is the term that I used, in getting the proper lighting, the proper security, the proper markings. And at the time, I didn't know there were issues with the marking per se. But I was concerned about the other security issues. We talked about the camera a number of times. I went out and did a test on my own, so I was very comfortable in my mind that the lighting was not sufficient for a nighttime camera shot. And there was one case where I took a picture. There was a gentleman walking by, and we walked by at the same time, or about the same time. Other than I was wearing a sport coat, you wouldn't know it was me. And now with the new light out there, it's crystal clear. It's like daylight, and you can recognize a person.
Would it be fair to say that you felt that the message had been sent effectively?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And I wouldn't wish that 15 minutes of fame on anyone. I had CNN showing up here. We had news camera before we had our security doors out front. We had news guys rolling and walking into my office. It was a miserable period of time.
Did you ever request an opinion from the city attorney about your authority to take the action that you did, taking the Dropbox and taking it into your office?
No, and in that moment, it was Friday working through the weekend. There was no opportunity for an opinion on that. So there was never an opinion from the time it was put out until the time I moved it. There was never any interaction with the attorney regarding the box itself. The conversations back in July with the city attorney were whether or not the clerk had unfettered authority to place the box, and a little bit on the Priorities USA and what that all meant.
And did you contact the city attorney at any time after you took possession of the box for an opinion about your authority in this matter?
No.
Okay. I'm just wondering, in paragraph 11 of your sworn statement, you stated that the city attorney's office door is 6 feet away from the door to your office, and that the city attorney kept her office door closed all week. Have I got that right?
That's correct.
And what significance do you see in that?
Good question. There's a coffee pot there. The city attorney's a big coffee drinker, and we shared a coffee pot. So my assistant usually made the coffee. Sometimes Ann was in early, and she would make the coffee, but there was always coffee there. So there was always that coffee clutch moment where we would discuss things. So I felt there was, it was radio silence, and it was kind of weird.
Can you think of possible methods for addressing your concerns about absentee ballot drop box that might have been less drastic than taking the box?
I could have wheeled it down to her office. I mean, I can go back and think what would have been an easier route. Could have done a few different things, sure. In the moment, I tell you, it was. I felt it would be very simple the next week, and there was no intention to make this viral. It went out there. And if you recall the testimony earlier, the photo I sent to an alder is the photo that was released 91 minutes after I sent it to her, and it was then a news release around noon on Tuesday. So again, the general public was unaware of this on Monday at all.
Did you ever consider contacting the Wisconsin Elections Commission about this matter?
Specifically regarding,
Well, to ask them about whether these concerns of yours were something that you should be filing a complaint to them about, or for clarification, for example, of what the rules are with respect to absentee ballot drop box decisions?
no, because I anticipated that we would come to some agreement sooner. I felt that a message needed to be sent that we need to do things properly. Let's secure it, let's light it, let's get consent from council. And I felt that would happen in that order, and there was no need. I mean, like I mentioned, I would prefer that we solve our own problems. I'm not a litigious person, so to go rat somebody out, unless it was some intentional violation of the law. I mentioned I've fired people for lying. I've never fired someone for making a mistake. I've fired someone for stealing, a lot of people for stealing in my career. I worked for a distribution outfit. Stealing, lying, mistakes, no. We work through our mistakes.
Yeah, and I wasn't necessarily suggesting that that would be the only reason you could contact the Elections Commission. Perhaps they could have provided some guidance that would have been helpful in this situation.
Well, so the people I did reach out to were other clerks, other mayors, because, I'm new to the mayor game, and I've have been able to have a little network with a few mayors who have been kind enough to give me some mentorship. I talked to Mayor Wiesa down in Stevens Point. I have cigars and whiskey with Wiesa once a month, practically. So I get a lot of feedback, a lot of ideas from other mayors and how they're doing, and they're experienced in their jobs. I had one mayor tell me he would fire a clerk who didn't comply. There was never that, I would never go to that extreme in this circumstance. But I took all of those opinions and then formulated what I felt was a good course of action.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Denny. Other board members have any questions? Sure.
You had mentioned that there was a large sentiment that had concerns about ballot boxes in the area, and you'd also mentioned a civilian activist, and I'm just wondering, how did you go about kind of assessing what the electorate was looking to do in this case? Like, what informed you on that?
Well, I had just come off of a campaign, and I knocked on roughly 2,000 doors personally. So I talked to a lot of people. I went to a lot of events, a lot of supporters. Some of them are in the room, voiced those opinions to me. Other part of your question was on an activist.
Sure, and I'm just trying to understand. So if the concern was a large portion of the electorate about having a ballot box and concerns about having the ballot box, I'm just wondering how then can there be a civilian activist outcrying against it? I'm just curious as to how that made sense to you if there was a large portion of people that came out in both directions.
Oh, well, the civilian activist was privy to inside information and was posting things out on social media, and which has since been taken down. Actually, was fairly immediately taken down. I don't know if I think that testimony is in my sworn statement. Some of that stuff, I had people send me screenshots. So I saw the postings. I saw the posting, I believe, of the gentleman wrapping the box, and that person had posted it probably prior to anyone. So I don't know how they got that picture, but then it had since been taken down. So I don't know if that's pertinent to where we're going, but yeah, there was. That's one part of how this all went viral, because it was released, the picture was released to the media, and there were activists working the social media on top of it. The other input from constituents was more measured, and those are the door knock ones. So two separate items.
Are those activists not your constituents? I'm sorry. I'm trying to understand the dichotomy there.
Are the activists not my constituents? I'm going to say the one is a resident of the city. The one was a very, very vocal activist against me in the election. Was a very strong advocate of the prior mayor, and had done some fairly unsavory things to me during the election, to the point where I had to hire an attorney to get a cease and desist order on that person, and then they subsequently took some more information offline that was inappropriate. So that particular person was fanning the flames and fueling an issue out of an internal debate, if you will, between the clerk and me.
Appreciate that. Just wanted to clarify on some of the details.
Okay.
No other questions from the board? Seeing none. Attorney Erlinson, do you have anything further?
I don't.
All right. Thank you very much, Mayor Tinney.
Thank you.
You're excused if you give us the exhibits back. Speaking of all the exhibits, I think we need to receive all exhibits if there is no objection.
Oh, yeah, move them in. Yes,
All right,
please.
thank you. Then we come to the,
Exhibits 1 through 25 are received.
thank you. Then we come to the closed session notice. Upon motion duly made, seconded, and adopted by roll call vote, the Ethics Board may convene in closed session per Wisconsin statute, section 19.85. Yes.
So if you want to, what we do is we have someone make that motion. So,
Oh, all right.
so they'd say, I make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to 93, that part.
All right, that sounds good. Okay, thank you.
Does the respondent have any obligation, or not obligation, right to call any witnesses? And I'm just wondering
Oh,
if,
I should have asked if you had any other witnesses.
I don't.
okay.
Thanks,
If
Robin.
it was a stop sign, it was an empty intersection.
All right, do we have a motion as reflected by to do what's provided for under the closed session notice?
I would make a motion
All right, it's been,
to go to closed session.
Actually, read the notice language.
Do you have that in front of
Oh.
you by chance?
have him as
I have it, sorry.
the movement read it?
So is this pursuant, like closed session pursuant to, okay. Closed session, there's a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.851A to deliberate concerning a case which was the subject of any judicial or quasi-judicial trial or hearing before that government body, and Wisconsin section 19.851G to confer with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to the litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved, specifically to deliberate in a matter of the pending complaint against Mayor Doug Denny.
And is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
It's been seconded by Doug Hostler. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. Will those in favor of the motion oh, yes, roll call vote.
Dexter,
Yes.
Hostler,
Yes.
DeVos,
Yes.
Kearns.
Yes.
All right. This open session is concluded, and we will proceed to we plan to come back. Any disagreement with that? Okay, we do plan to come back and reconvene in open session after we complete our closed session. All right, thank you very much.
Before you go into closed session,
Yeah.
can I ask what you're going to do when you reconvene?
We're going to talk about what we decided to do.
Oh, okay, all right. I just want to know whether I should stick around, because I thought that there were going to be an issuance of findings of fact.
Well, yeah, and that's a good point. There will be, and I guess as I envision it,
Will not be today.
we won't have that ready today. We want to make sure it's in final form and it's approved by all the members of the board, either way. So it may, quite likely, it may take some time for Attorney Larson to have that ready for us to look at. And what I'm anticipating is we've already reserved time on, was it next week, Wednesday? 14th, was it? We can have a look at it at that time. Yeah, we talked about reserving that date, but we didn't actually schedule anything, so we will need to talk about it. We actually picked a time? Well, we're already scheduled then, yeah. Well, if we voted on it, if that's the case, then,
Well, we are obligated to provide a written decision, and so that will not be today. I was typing, but it's not done. So, and I don't know what your decision is going to be. So obviously, it's not written yet.
and whatever it is, it needs to be reduced to writing, and we need to be able to have a look at it and approve it. So I think we're going to need that additional meeting. Could be fairly short.
So, you know, I don't want to speak for the board about what the decision's going to be, but to your question on process and should I be here or can I leave?
You read between the lines of the question.
I don't see the decision being ready today. But that, because it has to be reduced to writing, it probably will not be announced until it's reduced to writing, and it's not going to be reduced to writing today.
Given that, is there really a reason for us to come back today? Given that.
Well, I think we should plan to come back because we don't know where this discussion's going to go in closed session. So we should reserve the opportunity to come back, and maybe all we do is adjourn.
Always say that again, please.
I think the suggestion that we reserve the opportunity to come back into open session is a good idea because we haven't had the discussion in closed session yet. I think it's very possible that when we come back, the only thing that will happen is we'll come into open session and we'll adjourn. But there may be something else, and I don't even want to guess what it might be, but if there is something else, we may need to address it. I'm just, as a practical matter, telling people it will not be the written decision. It will not be ready.
And if there isn't anything we're going to be doing, it won't take much time for us to adjourn, so. All right. So we will proceed with that plan.
Okay.
Cody will lead us.
I have them here. I would like that too. So I'm going to hand them to Cody and have him.